Good day everyone. So we are the presenter of Module 3 which entitled Managing and Carrying the Self. So the first lesson is Live, Learn, and Experience. But before we proceed to that lesson, let's see what our learning outcome is. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain how learning occurs, enumerate the characteristics and function of the left and right brain, enumerate the different metacognition and study strategies, and identify the metacognitive techniques that you find most appropriate for yourself. Again, Lesson 1, Live, Learn, and Experience. So the first lesson is learning to be a better student. A, we need to know the brain and behavior changes during learning. So the nervous system is very important system in our body because it is the control and coordination of the system. So definitely ang atong brain ang pinaka-important sa lahat kay mo man siya ang naga-control sa atong body and ang coordination, and without the brain we cannot learn and we cannot stand in our own or walk to anywhere we want. And it manages and regulates voluntary and non-invasive processes, especially during learning. So, ang atong brain, nagahimo ni siya ka ng involuntarily processes during learning. Like, for example, nga, wala day takabalo nga atong learning is mas maka-learn ta pag nata sa quiet places or mas maka-learn ta if ang imong environment kay saba. So the brain is divided into two main systems, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. These systems are responsible for sending and receiving information throughout the body. So dili na ko na siya explain more further kay kanang understandable naman siya. So, mo ni ang kanang murag graph sa atong brain. So, ang first is ang nervous system. Then, ang left and right one is the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. And ang under sa central nervous system is ang brain o ang spinal cord. Then, ang sa peripheral nervous system is ang somatic and asomatic. Then, ang under po nila is ang forebrain, midbrain, o hindbrain. Then, ang other one is sympathetic and parasympathetic. And ang sa baba is ang cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus, and other one, the pons and cerebellum. So, dili ako siya, kay murag. Dili man siya, after siya tong topic, but mauna siya ang kanang part sa brain. So, muna siya ang picture sa brain. So, ang first one is ang picture or part sa brain. So, ang first one is the motor cortex, which is the kaning marag darker na orange. Then, the next one is ang somatosensory cortex, which is the dark blue one. Then, ang next one is ang parietal lobe, which is the light blue. Then, ang occipital lobe, which is the kaning yellow one. Then, ang other one is kaning cerebellum, which is under siya sa yellow one. Then, ang under sa yellow one, which is ang spinal cord. Then, ang brainstem is muna siya ang tapad sa cerebellum. Then, ang other one is ang kaning green one, which is called temporal lobe. Then, ang other one is kaning gamay na murag gray under sa orange one, is ang olfactory bulb. And ang kaning orange one, which is ang pinakadako, is muna siya ang frontal lobe. So, right and left brain function. Right brain function prefers to draw, handle, and object things. Imaginations, more likely to act on emotions. Follow written or demonstrated direction, creative thinking, synthesizing, inventing of abstract. So, ang right brain is muna siya ang kanang nagabuhat-buhat gani sa atong ulo, which is ang kanang able ta maka-follow og instruction, maka-invent og anything, maka-imagine og kanang mga abstract pictures, and maka-intindi og mga abstract pictures. Then mas more on emotion ni siya dili din. Ang kaning right brain is mas more on imaginations, like diri ta nagahimo og kanang mga ginatawag na to na intrusive thoughts sa pwede sa atong mga kaaway or anything ana-ana, or sa atong kanang or sa ato ang kanang future, like na. Then, ang kanay pong right brain is mas more on drita gahuna-huna kung saan pag-draw of things. So, ang left function of the brain is the logical and critical thinking, analytical, solves problem by breaking them apart, thinks concretely, talks and think, learn, and etc. etc. So, mao ni siya ang kanang ang logical and critical part sa atong mind. So, the next one, which is the metacognition and study strategies. A. Metacognitive teaching strategies. Metacognition, purposely thinking about one's own thinking strategies when people are able to learn and think or otherwise think to learn. And metacognition is a learning strategy that we use to understand and control our own performance. So, ang kaning metacognition is mo ni siya ang kanang ganing mga thinking strategy sa people. For example, ang kanang before ka mag-adto sa lain lugar, ginaisip pa nimo ang una mga expenses. So, mao na siya ang think to learn. And ang isa pod is kanang ang kabalo na kadaan sa expenses, mao na nag-think ka if dayonon ba nimo to siya nga kanang mo kung dayonon ba nimo siya pag-adto dito. So, mao na siya ang learn to think. And kanang ang metacognition is a learning strategy said. So, ang one example of that learning strategies is like what I've said earlier, katong if ang person is mas prefer niya ang saba nga environment para siya maka-learn, or mas prefer ba niya ang kanang marag solemn or hilom na environment para maka-learn siya. So, kamo unsa man ang inyong learning strategies? Thank you. So, the next one is learners with strong metacognition skills effectively plan for their learning, know their limits, and seek help when needed. Frequently test their knowledge and understanding of the topic. Monitor their own learning and use different learning strategies. Train their skills carefully to develop confidence and competence. So, mao na siya ang kanang mga learners with strong metacognition skills. So, kabalo dyan na sila mag-plan sa ilahang learning strategies para sila makakuha og kanang taas nga learning points or performance points or score ana-ana. Then kabalo po na sila mga og kanang help when needed na nila. For example, naay kanang isa ka mathematic equation nga dili isa kabalo, so mga na sila help either sa ilang friend or sa ilang teacher. Then ang second one is kabalo sad sila mo monitor sa ilang learning strategies. For example, ang katong nga learning strategies dili mag-work sa ilaha, so mag-think na sila og another learning strategies para dyan maka-learn sila effectively og na sila kanang makuha na mga knowledge and learning gikan atong nga learning strategies. Then if kato ma-identify na nila ang katong nga learning strategies, so gina-train carefully nila to na learning strategies para ma-enhance pa nila to ng mga learning strategies. So the second one is metacognitive awareness inventory. The two processes of metacognition. The first one is the knowledge of cognition, declarative, procedural, and conditional. So the first one is being aware of the factors that involve learning, identify the strategies you can use to effectively learn, and choosing the best learning strategies. So, kani siya na mga learners is mo ni siya ang kanang ginatawag na to nga pihikan nga learners kay once mabala na nila or aware sila nga kato nga learning strategies dili mag-work sa ila, dili jud nila to ginagamit or ginalisda na nila og another na learning strategies nga maka-work jud sa ila ha. Then pag na-identify na nila to nga learning strategies, gina-use to nila effectively to learn and gain knowledge. Then pag na-choose na to nila, ila tong gina-enhance para makatulong jud sa ila ha na maka-gain og knowledge. Number 2 is regulation of cognition involves setting goals and plans, monitoring and controlling learning. C. Evaluating of own regulations. Assessing if the strategies you are using is working or not, making adjustment and trying something new. So, kanina mga learners, nagaset sila og goals sa ilahang mga learning strategies. Nagaset sila og goals and plans kung unsaon nila pag-achieve ang katong learning sa ilahang gusto. Then, naga-monitor sad sila sa ilahang mga learning. For example, if wala sila ma-learn ato, gina-monitor to nila, then nag-isip na pud sila og lain para maka-learn na jud sila. Then C is, gina-evaluate nila to. Pag na-evaluate na nila, i-feel nila na, kani siya, kay okay man siya sa ako ang learning strategy, so ako ni siya ipadayon. Then if, kani, dili man ni okay sa ako ang learning strategies, dili dyan na nila ginapadayon. Then, gina-disregard na nila kay, unsaon man, wala man ay kanang murag value sa ilaha kay, wala man ay kanang, sa tawag na, walay kanang mahatag nga benefits sa ilaha. So, mag-try sila og something new. So, the third and last one will be the pre-assessment, self-assessment of content. A. Create a few key questions about the content, topic, or reply to the class. Questions should ask students what they know already about the topic, possible identifications of or any misconception. So, kani siya ang first para sa pre-assessment is kanang ang mga student is mag-create sila og kanang few questionnaires na pag kanang ang questionnaires ilang gigamit is makuha nila to ang ilahang gusto nga mga answers through that questionnaires. Then, ang question is should ask student if if kabalo na ba jud sila ana nga topic, like kanang mura siya assessment jud siya, like nana din ang nag-ask mo na siya if ang mga students is nabay challenges sila ana nga topic or mas kabalo ba jud sila ana nga topic. And B, have the student individually hand in their responses anonymously, skim through the answer after class, possibly categorize, summarize all responses by themes. So, ang kana man kay ang student jud lang imo ipahand in ato nga questionnaire. Then pag mahand in na nila, imo ato siyang kanang tan-awon, then i-summarize nimo kay para dili na ka maglisod. Then ang sunod is ang share responses with student the next class, either verbally or a summary of themes. So ang katong mga nag-gain nimo nga information through that questionnaires is i-share nimo to siya sa mga student. So ang mga student is makagain sila og kanang mga student is ma-aware sila sa ilahang learning strategies na buhaton na mas makagain og more knowledge sila. And they have discussion with student about how asking this question can help them in through planning on how they might approach a new idea or topic. So like what I said earlier, kay after niyo ma-share ang katong murag information ay muhang nag-gain through that questionnaire is i-ask niyo mga students is if kanang unsa jud ang kanang learning style nga fit sa ilaha na mas makagain sila og knowledge, dili sila maglisod og dili sa maglisod sa bag-o nga topic nga imuhang ihatag. So katong nga mga learnings katong nga mga gipangsulti kaganiha is katong nagahatag to siya sa tuaw kanang possible na idea on how to create a new learning style for us and para po maka-gain ta og knowledge easily, dili ta maglisod. So that will be the end of my discussion, and I hope nga na kabalo na mo kung unsaon pag-think and plan a new learning style na fit sa inyuha na mas maka-gain mo og more knowledge. And I hope na kanong throughout katong mga inyuhang nagain na mga knowledge gikan sa ako unta magamit to ninyo sa inyuhang mga future students if your education or future na mga anak ana. Then that will be the end of my discussion. Thank you. I am Katrina Micaela Sanchez, the reporter of Module 3, Learning to be a Student.
Good morning, everyone. Now let's proceed to the next topic. The approaches and study skills inventory for students. or in short, ASIS, is a widely used questionnaire designed to assess how university students approach their learning and studying. It's a valuable tool for educators and researchers seeking to understand student learning strategies and identify areas for improvement. Now, to understand more of what is ASIS, here are key features of ASIS. The ASIS is structured around three main dimensions of student approaches to learning. First approach is deep approach. This involves actively seeking meaning and understanding, relating new information to prior knowledge, and critically evaluating information. So, in this approach, students with a deep approach are often highly engaged and motivated. Second approach is the strategic approach. This focuses on effectively managing learning tasks and achieving academic goals. So, here, students using a strategic approach are organized, plan their work effectively, and monitor their progress. Third approach, surface approach. This involves rote memorization and a focus on superficial understanding. Now, students with a surface approach may lack engagement and motivation, often studying minimally to meet assessment requirements. Now, to show you what is a assist questionnaire, it is shown on the screen provided. So the instructions here is read each statement and check the column descriptor you feel best represents how you learn. So first is the surface approach. For the surface approach, one is I find I have to concentrate on just memorizing a good deal of what I have to learn. So whether you strongly agree, or somewhat disagree, or strongly disagree. Now, in the strategic approach is I think I am quite systematic and organized when it comes to studying for exam. So what I have said earlier, students who use strategic approach are mostly organized in their work so that they can finish their assignment. Now, on the deep approach, when I'm reading, I stop from time to time to reflect on what I am trying to learn. So in this case is you are going to check if you are strongly agree, somewhat disagree, or strongly disagree. So what I have said earlier, deep approach or students who use deep approach strategies of how they learn are often who wants to learn more on what they are going to learn, like they are going to search on that because they want to learn more about it. In conclusion, the assist value lies in its ability to provide a comprehensive assessment of student learning approaches, providing valuable insights for both educators and researchers. The findings can inform interventions aimed at improving students' learning outcomes and enhancing the overall learning experience. Now let's proceed. Metacognition. What is metacognition? Metacognition at its core is thinking about thinking. It's the awareness and understanding of one's own thought processes. Now, it's a higher level cognitive process that allows you to monitor and regulate your thinking to improve learning and decision making. We know what is metacognition. Let's proceed to think aloud metacognition. So, think aloud metacognition is a protocol that is a powerful tool for investigating metacognition, which is what I've said, thinking about thinking. In essence, think aloud involves verbalizing or talking one's thoughts and reasoning process while performing a task. This allows researchers and educators to gain insight into cognitive strategies, also on students, knowledge and beliefs that underline performance. By verbalizing their thought processes, participants reveal their metacognitive awareness, their understanding of their own cognition. Now, to conceptualize, here is an example. So, once the teacher has modeled for students how he would solve a problem or interpret a piece of writing, have students work in pairs to talk out loud as to how they are thinking about an assignment, piece of homework, or an assignment. Now, A. One student talks out loud while the partner records what they are saying. The strategy is going to be used to complete the homework or do the assignment. Then the partner also guides them to think through all the steps. B. Students switch roles and do the same for each other. Lastly, C. Students have thought out the process for completing the assignment or homework, receive some feedback from their partner, and possible have a plan written down as to how they are going to undertake the task. Debrief briefly with class as to lessons learned. Now, in conclusion, developing strong metacognitive skills is essential for success in various aspects, such as of life, including education, the workplace, and everyday decision making. It allows for more effective learning, increased self awareness, enhanced problem solving, and better decision making. Is the ability to reflect on your learning processes, identify areas needing improvement, and develop strategies to address those shortcomings. This leads to more efficient and effective learning. In summary, metacognition is not just about what you think, but also how and why you think, and how you can improve your thinking processes to achieve your goals. Now let's proceed to concept mapping and visual study tools. Concept map. Now, what is a concept map? A concept map is a way of representing relationships between ideas, images, words. Concept maps are a way to develop logical thinking and study skills by revealing connections to a big idea or the key concepts you are trying to teach. Concept maps will also help students see how individual ideas relate to the larger whole or the bigger picture. So, when we were in high school, we often use concept maps on many different ways, like in writing a story, um, um, analyzing a story, um, making essays. Why do we use concept maps? So we use concept maps because we intend to think of many things on a certain topic. So we intend to confuse ourselves. So in order for us to organize our ideas, we use concept maps because it's easier that way that us thinking of many things, we can connect those ideas so that we can make a whole knowledge about those small ideas. Now that we are done, let's proceed to the next one. So here is the classroom assessment tools. So there are many kinds of classroom assessment tools given. First is ticket out the door. Description: during the last few minutes of class, students write response to a question that is given to them or two about class concepts. What are they learning? Hand in as they exit class. So how to use? Review or read all before next class and use to clarify, correct, or elaborate more students. Second is 1 minute paper. During the last few minutes of class, students write response to the most important things I learned today and what I understand the least today. Now how to use. Review, read all before next class and use to clarify, correct, see, and elaborate more for students. Third is muddiest point. Now, description similar to 1 minute paper, but only ask students to describe what they didn't understand during class and what they think might help them. How to use same as 1 minute paper, but if many students have same problem, reteach concept another way. Student generated task questions. Description. Divide the class into groups and assign each group a topic on which they are to each write questions and answer for next test. How to use. Use as many of the questions as possible on the next test. Fifth is memory matrix. Students fill in cells of a two-dimensional diagram with instructor-provided labels such as comparison chart, outlining similarities and differences in two columns against a variety of concepts in the discipline. Now, how to use. Tally the number of correct and incorrect responses. Look for patterns among the incorrect responses. Address in class after. Next is KLL chart. Now, description. Label three charts: K, what I know already; W, what I want to know; and L, what I have learned. Complete the first two before, until, topic, and last one at end. Now, how to use. Discuss with students perceptions of what they thought they knew, what they have to come. Next is directed paraphrasing. Ask students to write layperson's translation of something they have just learned, geared for a non-expert audience, to assist their ability to comprehend transfer concepts. How to use. Categorize students' responses according to characteristics you feel are important. Address in class after. Next is one sentence summary. Now, here is students summarize a certain topic and make it shorter and gain only the main ideas. And the purpose of it is to yes, what I've said is to define only the important aspects of a topic. Now, how to use. Evaluate the quality of each summary in brief fashion. Note if students have identified the core concepts of the class topic. Share with audience. Next is think, pair, and share. Now here you are going to instruct the students to think first on what they learned on a topic. And then after that is you pair them with someone else, like their classmate, and let them share on what are their thoughts about it. Now, how to use. When you want to have a better discussion by a greater number of students, by thinking alone first with small groups of peers, shared responses should be richer and more varied. Next is application cards. Here is after teaching theory, principle, or procedure, ask students to write down at least one real world application for what they have just learned to determine if they can see the transfer of their recent learning. So, how to use. Quickly read through once and categorize them according to quality. Pick out a broad range of examples to share with the class next day. Next is classroom opinion polls. Now, using clickers or online polling questions, ask students variety of questions about a topic and seek their anonymous opinion. How to use. Often, polling devices can represent immediate result back to the class to provide discussion and next steps. Now, next is the weekly report. So, here, after a week, written by students in which they address three questions. What did I learn this week? What questions remain unclear? And what questions would you ask your students if you were the instructor to find out if they understood the material? So, how to use this is read at the end of each week, categorize responses, and share with class. Then follow up on unclear questions with class or small group of students. So next is concept test. So here is instructor presents one or more questions during class involving key concepts along with several possible questions in multiple choices. Now students indicate by showing their hands, or a banner or poll or clicker for voting which answer they think is correct. If most of the class has not identified correct answer, students are given a short time to persuade their neighbors that their answer is correct. The question is asked a second time to gauge class mastery. So how to use is often lasts a few minutes but uncovers misunderstandings and great conversations among students. Share answer rather second voting session to see how the class response change or don't change. Next is instructor meetings. So here is the instructor meets informally with students either in class or after class to answer questions, inquire about conceptual understanding, or provide feedback on student learning. So how to use is design specific questions to help guide the meeting and address concepts and understanding you want to know more about. So here this is very rare in the educational concept because sometimes students don't really have the courage to go to their teachers to ask them questions if they doesn't understand or misunderstand something because they intend to be scared or shy to approach them.
Let's proceed to metacognitive note-taking skills. It is a powerful technique that goes beyond simply jotting some information or important information, but includes your thinking processes. In the beginning of the class, plan plus connect. Students may prepare their notes according to their prefer or likes. So, ibig sabihin, pwede ka magamit ng table of contents or pwede lang ka mag-jot down in the piece of paper, or you can use a kernel notes. Kernel notes is gina-divide na niya isa ka paper into 3 parts. The bigger part is kung daraa ka mag-take down, kung asa ka mag-take down notes. Ang sa bottom part, yung summarization. Ang sa kilid part, kung unsa yung mga question nga na-come up according sa gina-present. In this part, you can ask yourself what I already know about these topics. Ibig sabihin, it's all about your past experience and prior knowledge. Second, how do I feel about this topic? Are you feeling excited para mas maka-learn pa ani nga topic, or curious ka na unsa pa kaya ang mga sangay ani nga topic? Third question is, how does this topic relate to something I already know? And lastly, what question do I have already about these topics? So if my prior knowledge ka about this topic, may mga questions manggod na si ang utok na wala pa na natupag. So you can ask your presenter regarding on that para mas makasabot pa ka sa kanang topic, para mas mag-dig deeper ang explanation regarding on that topic. In the middle of the class, encourage students to make 2 columns in their notes, right column and left column. In right column, they take traditional notes on what is being presented. So, daraan ni mibutang mga data, supporting details, ideas, kung unsa man ang ginapresent sa presenter. Ang left column, insights, aha moments, questions about the contents. So, ang isulat mo diri ang work is mga realizations, reaction, and insight nimo regarding ana nga topic or mga questions sa iyahang gina-present. Reflective writing helps students to make connections between what they are learning in their homework or class content with how they integrating the content into their current learning structure. So, ang reflective writing, it is a powerful tool na nag-encourage ang mga student not just memorizing their learnings or ideas, but mas mag-dig deeper pa sa pagtuon sa mga topics. So, kaning paraan, mas ma-integrate nila ang ilang mga prior knowledge sa ilang mga new na natunan. Managing your own learning or self-regulated learning, it is how students regulate their own emotion, cognition, and behavior during learning experiences. A self-regulated learner are aware of their strengths and weaknesses. May mga estudyante or mag-aaral na mas gusto nila ang written reports than public speaking. May ilan din sa atin na mas magaling sila sa public speaking pero sa written reports ay hindi mag-aano. Utilize metacognitive strategies. Ito ay ang kakayahang magplano, mag-monitor at mag-evaluate ng mga strategiya at ang pag-adjust ng strategiya depende sa mga approaches sa pag-aaral. Lastly, they attribute any success or failure to factors within a personal control. Ibig sabihin, pag ma-fail sila sa isa ka bagay, dili nila i-blame sa laing tao or sa mga external factors ang ilang kapiligihan, but ang kanang kapiligihan ginamake nila as a motivation para mas pabutihin ang sumusunod upang hindi na sila matalo or mas maging successful ang kanilang ginagawa. So, let's proceed to self-regulated as a process. It is a cyclic process. A student who practice self-regulated learning plans for tests, monitor the performance, and then reflect an outcome. First, plan, set, and lay out strategies. Use strategies and monitor performance. Reflect on your performance. First, you plan. Ang imong plano is maka-flat 1. So, imong goal is mag-study of 30 minutes per day upang kanang mas maging fresh pa ang mga topics mo kanang adlaw sa imong una para pag mag-study or para mag-exam kanang gamay na lang mo studyhan or mas dali nimo manunaan ang inyong mga topics. Second is layout strategies. Kung sa man yung mga strategies upang mas maka-learn. Pwede nimo ka ng presang giwin ka ginina nga. Sa pagbasa patungo sa pagsusulat, ibig sabihin ka ng ibasahon nimo, then isulat nimo para mas makasabot ka, or you prefer to read lang the papers para makasabot ka, or it depends on your ways na mas prefer sa inyo, na mas maka-uun mo. By doing that, mas maka-reflect ang mga estudyante kung unsa man ang mga best way sa ilahang pag-study. Diba, a lot of us, may iba-iba talaga tayong mga strategies. Ang uban, kanang, they prefer to read and write. Kung silang nabasa, isulat nila para mas makatuon sila. Nasa uban sa ato na they record their own na magbasa, then sige nilang paminawon ang ilahang audio recording para mas musudod silang huna-huna, and napayuban na we prefer na ibasa lang tanan, sige lang nilang ibasa para makasabot sila. So in that way, in this strategies, mas makabalo ka na unsa man jud ako ang mga learning strategies na mas kiyang sa kuha, na mas makatuon pa ko